I've heard 2 of the 4 wins the Nets have had this season have come against the Brooklyn Nets. Greg Anthony here, Grant Hill as well. Grant, your immediate thoughts watching that last sequence of plays of scoring from the Nets. What was your assessment on watching that unfold?
Well, I mean, I thought the Nets had the game under control, and they made plays, they got stops, but that sequence of events down the stretch, Bradley Beal, a costly turnover on an inbounds play. You want to be careful in those situations. That led to a turnover. Russell Westbrook with the big 3. It was fitting those 2 guys hit those threes because they were spectacular tonight. Westbrook with 41, Bradley Beal with 37. Big all night, and, of course, big for their team down the stretch.
Big for the team down the stretch. Let's go ahead and roll this highlight just in case you missed it. You're just tuning in. Show you what happened. It was a crazy one in the District of Columbia. The Wizards and the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie and company playing without James Harden, but Westbrook put on a show, GA.
I mean, this was vintage. I mean, he was in attack mode on both ends, and Kyrie not shying away from attacking himself on that possession.
An efficient night, 26 points, 10 for 20 shooting, but late in the game, the Wizards took over, Grant. Oh, this is a miss.
Yes, they did.
This was a miss. I set you up poorly. That was an opportunity. Now, Westbrook misses on this one, so some late-game execution not necessarily going their way for the Wizards. However, they figured out a way out to turn it around, Grant.
Yeah, right here, Bradley Beal pulls up, big-time shot, and right here they get a press going, and there's some confusion by the Nets. They get the ball to Westbrook. He missed that 3 earlier, and he knocks down that one.
Knocks it down, no doubt. A season-high 41 for Russell Westbrook, and he was feeling it, GA, with this late-game shot here that starts it off.
Oh, that 3 was amazing. And then just here, you got to be a little more patient if you're Joe Harris. Let the play develop, and that turnover, and then Westbrook knocking down that triple, that was huge.
4 threes. Last chance on this possession for the Nets, down by 1. A lot of things happening on this sequence, GA.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie gets away with a travel on the baseline. Beautiful pass, though. And you just got to knock that one down. Easy layup, not able to get it to go. And then Jeff Green with the foul there on Bradley Beal.
Nice pass, not as nice as the Grant Hill to Christian Laettner pass. Plus, there wasn't enough time remaining on the clock to even get that shot off as the Washington Wizards get the victory over the Brooklyn Nets. They've had 4 victories this season, and 2 of those victories have come against this Brooklyn Nets squad. After the game, we heard from Russell Westbrook.
Russ, congratulations on that victory. If you
18, we want to give all the kudos to the Washington Wizards. Of course, Russell Westbrook coming back. We know he's been hobbled a little bit this season. But let's just talk about these Brooklyn Nets. Grant, you spoke about it earlier, talking about them defensively. That's been the big question. We know that they can score, but looking at the most points allowed this season by any team in the NBA, Brooklyn Nets, they gave up 147 to the Cavs in a couple of overtime periods a couple of weeks ago, and then 149 today in regulation. Grant, your thoughts on the Nets and their defense?
Well, first of all, their offense, as we know, is one of the most efficient offenses of all time. But their defense is one of the worst efficient defenses of all time. And that recipe is not good for obvious reasons. Look, you have the offensive firepower to go out and close games. You have 3 of the best closers, 3 of the best fourth quarter producers in their big 3. But defensively, they're going to have to figure this out. They have championship aspirations. You expect some improvement at this point in the season, and they just haven't really been able to get it done. And so you're not going to outscore teams if you want to win championships. And certainly here with Washington, they just let Washington hang around. They traded baskets. They felt like they had the game under control. And that sequence of events on that one possession, that's how tricky it can be. That's how quickly things can change. So the defense has to improve. They don't have to be a top 10 defensive team, but they just have to be average. If they can be average, then they have a chance this season to do something.
Yeah, so when you're going to say, what's the worst quarter of the Nets season? That was at the fourth quarter. They gave up 48 points. What was the worst 6.8 seconds of their season? That was it right there. They're up 5 points, 6.8 to go when Beal hits the 3. Then Joe Harris throws the inbounds pass away, a steal. Russell Westbrook gives them the lead. Remember, The Nets had a timeout. A lot of times coaches in that situation, even though you have the lead, just call timeout there. This way you advance the ball to midcourt, settle things down, inbound the ball, and you can end the game that way. That is a disastrous loss. You cannot score that many points and lose a game, especially to give up 48 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, a couple of things you brought up on the pregame. This Wizards team, they've had stops and starts. They're not a 3-12 team. They're more talented than that. They showed that. You also said that a few of the guys, including Westbrook, would probably play a little more inspired tonight, and they did.
Well, Richard Jefferson was talking about it during the telecast, that Beal is kind of easing himself into this game. Well, he eased himself in the fourth quarter. He dominated. But Russell Westbrook, what you love about him, he's so darn competitive. He took a bad three right before that, which was not a good shot by him. But then off the steal, he had to take that shot, knocks down the biggest shot of the game. And then at the other end, what does he want? He wants to defend Kevin Durant. And give Kyrie Irving credit. That was a smart pass by Kyrie Irving. TLC, 9 times out of 10, he's going to make that. I get it. You're under a little bit of pressure. That's a shot that you have to make. That was a good pass by Kyrie Irving on that inbounds pass with 2.9, I think it was, to go.
Yeah.
That is a rough loss for the Brooklyn Nets.
All right, so Frank talked about a little bit of it. Let's dig into what happened down the stretch for the Nets in this one.
Nets win the game if he converts that.
Again, to your point, Russell Westbrook wanted Durant, and he made it tough. He was draped all over him. Had Kyrie forced him to go to somebody else.
And remember, the Nets did inbound from the side. Westbrook knocked the ball out of bounds. The Nets had two. Remember, when they took that lead, they had 2 timeouts. So when Joe Harris initially inbounded the ball, they could have used one of those timeouts, advanced the ball to midcourt. They ended up using their 2 final timeouts in that last sequence, which should have ended with a TLC basket.
All right, so Westbrook and Beals combining for 78 points tonight. Westbrook 41 on 16 of 28 shooting. He added 10 rebounds for the double-double, almost had the triple-double, and then Bradley Beal 37 points. But Frank, as you mentioned, 6 at the half, and then he just blew the doors off in the second half.
And 22 in the fourth quarter for him. That's the most points by Russell Westbrook since joining the Washington Wizards. And this is the thing about Westbrook. Same thing happened last year in Houston. It took him a while to get going. Maybe this will be the game that'll snap him out of it. But that is a rough loss. To be up by, first of all, you had an 18-point lead in the first half. You're up 5 with 12 seconds to go. You give up back-to-back threes by Bradley Beal, and then the big one to Russell Westbrook right there. They had a rough loss against Washington at the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
This is worse.
Now, I know Westbrook, Durant, Scotty Brooks, they all have a history together, but I wonder, so this means something to them, but what does it mean that the Wizards know they won this game and fought hard in this game against a